Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends, good morning to all joining us at the A+A in Düsseldorf, and a good morning to everyone following the ORP's Vision Zero and the Great Reset session online. We have a truly exciting and busy program ahead of us over the next 3 hours, so let's get started. It is my great pleasure to introduce the chair of our first session, Mr. Bernd Reichel, who is a senior specialist in prevention and social security at the International Social Security Association, the ISA. I had the privilege of working closely with Bernd at the ISA to strengthen the proactive and preventive dimensions in social security systems, such as accident insurances. The Vision Zero campaign and strategy has been one of the absolute highlights of our collaboration and still brings us together on occasions like the A+A. Bernd, it's great to have you here. The floor is yours.
Please, could you open the voice?
All right,
the micro?
Hello.
Thank you.
I was unmuted, beginner's mistakes. So again, hello everyone, welcome to day 3 of the Vision Zero days and day 2 of the session about the Great Reset. Thank you, Hans-Horst, for your warm words of welcome. It has also been a great pleasure working with you together at the ISA when you were heading the ISA Secretariat as Secretary General. And yes, Vision Zero is something that was created by the Special Commission, supported and further created by us, I might say. And so we are here today. And the topic that we are going to discuss now are the new incentives to promote a safe and healthy prevention culture. So that leads me, of course, to the first question, and that is, what is prevention culture? It's rather a complicated thing because 20 years ago, nobody spoke about prevention culture as such. And then came the World Congress on Safety and Health at Work in Seoul, where a Seoul Declaration was adopted with a lot of signatories and dignitaries, ministers, heads of major organizations, and everybody spoke about a prevention culture. The ILO has also mentioned it in the Promotional Framework Convention 187. And so with this in mind, it continued. And after Seoul, we had the Istanbul Declaration. This is actually original. And who knows, maybe one day I'll sell it on eBay. But yeah, so the prevention culture topic started, we discussed it. Everybody was wondering, what actually does it mean to have culture, prevention culture? And here behind me, you see a couple of word cloud elements, but what everybody said is that it is related to beliefs, to behaviors, to our social environment, to our world environment, and most importantly, to human factors and to people. So basically, it all means the way we do things around here. And so we thought it would actually be a good idea to have some indicators on prevention culture. And so in 2015, we actually launched a study, a desk study, plus a little survey which was filled out by 870 OSH practitioners. And we came up with these 10 elements. What would be a good safety and health prevention culture at the company level. And you see, management commitment came first. And Vision Zero has the same in the 7 golden rules. Rule number 1 is leadership. And then we have others like communication. We have productivity versus safety. That was something discussed yesterday. Remember, life 1 and life 2. How much can you actually interfere? When should you stop? And when can productivity continue? Then information and training, safety resources and safe materials and machines, participation of the workforce, and it might ring a bell. It's all in the Vision Zero guide. So it was actually a first step before Vision Zero then saw the light of the day. And these indicators were actually presented in Frankfurt at the World Congress that came after Singapore. And there's one problem with culture, because culture is often a thing where we say, well, we do it and it's always fine. We do the things around here anyway. And then we fall asleep. We do nothing, just like good old Garfield, who just thinks he doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to maintain it. So this is basically where the Great Reset comes in, because Klaus Schwab has triggered a discussion of the Great Reset, where he said the old system doesn't work anymore. So we need to rethink, and we need to have a fairer, a more equitable, a more greener, and a more sustainable world. And this is the topic for this conference. Do we need a Great Reset? And what is a successful reset in occupational safety and health in Europe? I might want to remind you, we still have 2.78 million fatalities every year. So are we doing the right things or are we not? We might, of course, consider Vision Zero and say, yes, we do a lot. You know, we address obesity, for example. We address psychosocial issues. We address safety, health, and well-being. But first and foremost, you know, we have these 7 golden rules who basically should lead us into a brighter future, a safer future, and a future that is acceptable for everyone, for worker, for employer, even for family members, and also for you and me. So with this little kickoff, I would like to introduce 4 very, very renowned speakers for today's session, who will all discuss this question of incentives for a better safety and health prevention culture. Incentives is, of course, one way of changing culture, and incentives is one way of tell people what they should do without them feeling forced, because there is a power of self-enabling aspect inside of autonomy. And incentives also means that I get something back if I invest something in. So my first speaker is Alan Stevens. He will be followed by Franco Dutto, then Dietmar Elsner, and then Sven Tim. They all come from different walks of life, different professional backgrounds. So let me introduce Alan first. Alan is the head of strategic engagement at IOSH. He's strongly involved in the ISA section on education and training. He's an expert in OSH-related training aspects, and I think and believe a very established and renowned international speaker. So, Alan, if you could switch on your camera, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Bernd. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today with you at this amazing event. If I may share my screen, please. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, share that and make it big. Okay, so hopefully you can see my presentation now. As Bernd said, my name is Alan Stevens. I'm head of strategic engagement at the Institution of Occupational Safety and Health. My job is to manage the external collaboration elements of our strategy to make the Vision Zero a reality. At IOSH, we have a very simple ethos in that we truly believe in a safe and healthy world of work. It shouldn't matter where you live, whether it's London or Lagos, Düsseldorf, or you know, anywhere in Asia, South America. People have the right to return home at the end of the day, both safe and healthy. But we know we can't do that alone, and the purpose of this conference is to galvanize us towards that common aim. So we recognize that we must collaborate. And if we effectively collaborate, then we truly collectively can influence the agenda, not only for the profession, not only for the OSH profession, but for those that our profession serves. And by doing so, we truly can enhance and sustain a safe and healthy world of work for those that our profession serves. But we believe that the challenge is somewhat complex. We believe, therefore, that to achieve the culture of safe and healthy working, as Bernd referred to, we have to tackle this as a system. And we know that, and we recognize that the OSH system has 4 key elements to it. And those people that represent those elements are at this conference today, and they're working with us all towards that common aim. Firstly, we must work with governments and policy and standard setters, such as the ESA, such as the ILO, United Nations, the World Health Organization, to work towards creating the macro environment where people can flourish. Secondly, and we'll come on to this in a second, we recognize the key role and the growing role of organizations, and more importantly, the investment in those organizations as a powerful driver towards a safe and healthy world of work right at the beginning. Money talks. We recognize as well, though, with these conditions in place, we must also work with inspectors, because unless you can enforce good rules and understand what's really going on, how can we tackle the issues that matter? And finally, but not exclusively or in a lesser way, of course, the workforce. But we're not just talking about the OSH professional. We believe that generating this culture towards Vision Zero means everybody must possess a mindset towards zero harm and have that as a consideration, just as every worker considers, budgets, sales, marketing, operations, and so forth. So we have some challenges. At the moment, we're speaking a lot about COVID, but let's step away from that, if you permit me, for a second, and look at some of the trends that are not necessarily working in our favor. The first one, for many economies, relates to the fact that we have an aging population. And we know that challenges such as musculoskeletal disorders and so forth occur more regularly as people approach the later ends of their careers. By 2030, it's expected that 30%, up to 30% of the workers will be between age 55 and 64, that prime age group where they can damage their bodies through physical work. So we see that as populations are aging, the challenge of how do we look after and keep healthy and fit, this aging working population is going to be a growing challenge for us collectively. Moreover, on top of that, we recognize that through technology, and COVID has accelerated this, the traditional workplace is being fragmented rapidly. More and more people are working virtually on short-term contracts from home or in micro businesses. And again, we recognize the fantastic efforts that the big corporations and the traditional workplaces have done towards reducing harm and removing harm in the workplace. But we still know that a lot of harm is happening in the micro businesses, the hard to reach communities. And I set us as a challenge to work together is how do we not just reach the visible factories or offices that we work in, but how do we reach those micro farms, those micro garment industry businesses? How do we reach deep into our supply chain and understand where these independent workers need our help? How do we transfer our skills to those hard to reach people? And we need to do this because the world's looking at us. And there's a very clear reason why they're looking at us. And this is described really well by BlackRock. BlackRock are the largest investment house in the world. They manage $6.52 trillion in assets. Now, that's a lot. In context, that's more than double the size of the UK economy. And in their annual report, their chief exec refers to this very challenge because he understands that there's a big moment in history at the moment where the trillions of dollars, they estimate $24 trillion, is being transferred from the baby boomers, our generations that bought goods on value and price. That money's being transferred towards the millennial population age groups who not only want good value at good price with good quality goods, but moreover, they care about the purpose of those goods and how they are produced. Modern media allows the consumer into the front line of how goods and where goods are produced. And you cannot hide any longer, OSH challenges down the supply chain. Investors and organizations are recognizing that they need to manage good OSH all the way through the supply chain to where the goods are produced, because investors will only invest where that is the case, because they understand that organizations that focus on good OSH will outperform organizations that don't, because the consumers would choose the organizations that reflect good OSH practice. BlackRock isn't alone. Over 1,000 other asset management companies are backing the United Nations PRI, the Principles of Responsible Investment. You can see there each year as it's growing, year by year, more and more organizations are galvanizing behind this movement. Many of them I hope you can see on your screen now and you'll recognize. These organizations are primarily now making their investment decisions, not just on the future of the organization's goods, services or proposition, but how those goods and services are produced, and OSH is a major consideration. One of our challenges is to supply the indicators and the measures to this population of investment companies so they can actually tangibly measure what good OSH looks like. We also have the United Nations Global Compact looking at this, the world's largest movement around corporate sustainability. And of course, corporate sustainability focuses on the conditions for the worker. The first two of the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact relate to human rights and the welfare of the workers, the supply chain, and the society of which an organization operates in. This movement's going to become even more focused on OSH through the coming years. IOSH is proud to support, of course, the UN Global Compact. But despite all of these things that are in our favour, the investment community, the focus of good people like us, that we still recognise a significant degree of market failure. Although 9 in 10 medium to large businesses have health and safety specialists operating in their organisations, surprisingly and regrettably, only 38% of business leaders identified health and safety training for employees as a tactic to managing absence. The message of the healthy profit still needs reinforcing and still needs sharing because people haven't necessarily grasped it all the time yet. Oh, and even more worryingly, only 28% of leaders of organisations see that OSH and learning around OSH is something that they should own and embed, not just in their workers' culture, but across their leadership team and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our role today to spread the word that OSH is not just the responsibility of the OSH professional, but it's everybody's responsibility from the boardroom down. We know the steps we need to take. The ESA vision, the 7 golden rules, they're there. But what we're asking for is to people consider that it's the system that we need to tackle. We need to embed occupational safety and health and wellbeing strategies into our governance, our culture and our systems, and make safe and healthy procedures and programs, not just reactive as issues occur, but proactive and embedded in all of our strategic decisions right from the word go, just as we do finance and product. And then we need to align all of our functions, both vertically and horizontally, so everybody shares the responsibility of taking care of our workforce, because they are our greatest asset, not a substitutional unit. So to conclude, before I hand back to Bernd, we have an extreme choice. We can't just sit in the middle of this. This is not a catch-22 situation. As Bernd said, we know that over 2.7 million people a year still are harmed and sadly die because of things that we know are totally preventable. Most of it is focusing on the challenges in occupational diseases, including occupational cancers. It's more easy for us to identify the challenges around accidents, but let's do the hard work as well as the easy work, because we know it makes sense. There is a return, it's proven, 2.2 euros for every €1 we invest in this area. I know today I'm speaking to people that understand this and are committed to this. My challenge, to hand back to Bernd, is how do we galvanise wider support and deeper support to make this Vision Zero a reality? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alan, for a very, very concise and point presentation. Very interesting indeed. The focus on purpose is definitely something we should all have a closer look at. But without further ado, we're still good in time. I would like to invite Franco Dutto on stage. Franco is a very experienced OSH expert with over 30 years of experience working for Tsubaki Nakashima, a company that produces precision balls, ceramic balls, steel balls, and precision tools. And he is Senior Vice President, Chief of HR, and what else? Head of Sustainability or Sustainability Officer. So, Franco, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I will share my screen if you don't mind. The connection, I am at home, working from home, so the connection is not perfect. So if you don't mind, I will switch off my my video. Okay, just 1 second. Okay. Can you see my screen?
It's coming. It's not here yet.
Okay.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay, so first of all, thank you very much for this invitation. It's a pity that I'm not there in Germany, because I would like to do it, but unfortunately it's not possible. So few words about myself. So I am principally a lawyer with a specialization in safety and health laws. And I have, unfortunately, considering that I am Italian, I am 60 years old, I have an extensive and very big experience in the field of HR, compliance and sustainability in multinational companies. What it was important for my experience is to spend 5 years in ergonomics, so having the opportunity to understand very well the relationship between the productivity and the safety. So in principle, I understood, I experienced that when we are providing safe workplaces and the perfect methodologies to work in the best way, we are much more productive. And this is extremely important in my opinion. Few words also about Tsubaki Nakashima. As the name is saying, Tsubaki Nakashima is an international company, a Japanese company, leading in the field of rolling elements, producing balls, rollers, using different materials, ceramic, steel balls, and so on, for a wide range of applications: industrial, automotive, aerospace, drones, windmills, and many, many others. And with a growing business also in the medical device business, as you can see here. The company was founded in 1934. We have 20 plants around the world, 14 different countries. We are present in Europe with 8 plants, so the European presence is very, very important. And we have 31 different nationalities, so it's an example of diversity. Obviously, the company is not so big because we are making 700 million euros of revenues, but in the specific field, in the specific sector, is a leader. Tsubaki Nakashima is a leader. So I listened with a lot of attention the 2 presentations, and I think that there are some elements that I would like to highlight. First of all, not in order to be cynical, but in order to have a realistic approach, I think that if we observe a company like my company as an organization, we don't have to forget few things. One is that the companies must make profit, because without profit, a company cannot exist. There are no investors, no investments, no money, no people, nothing. The company must consolidate and grow in a perpetual motion, which is another extremely important thing. So growing and making money and making cash is the key. the leaders must lead, which maybe is a very stupid thing to say, but this is what is not happening always. And when we talk about safety and health, this is particularly important. Alan said that what is incredible at a certain point is that we are not using the training in ES and H, let me call the field in that name, because we believe that it's only mandatory. I mean, no, there is a direct relationship between the management of the people and the OSH performances. Then what I want to say is that the leader must lead someone, not something, not the machines, but the people. And run a company, it takes resources, including the human resources, and the resources must be managed well. So I always say that if in the management of human resources, we put the same attention that we put in the management of the raw materials or the energy or the wastes, we would have an evident increase in profit and greater productivity. The coronavirus, so I mean the pandemic, etc., has identified a lot of discussion regarding the connection between the sustainability, so in the broader sense of profit, plant and people, and the financial system. Companies now are all providing their ESG report or sustainability report, and each company, each of us, every government must commit and work hard to reduce or eliminate the environmental impact, to improve the working environment, the working conditions, to reduce the risk for the workers, because reducing the risk of the workers is reducing the risk for the investors and finding new opportunities. The second observation of the reality is starting from the ISO standards, because I believe that we don't have to forget that we have internal interested parties and external interested parties. And our internal interested parties are our management, our salaried, our workers, our contractors, and as external interested parties, we have the communities around us, we have the authorities, we have the customers, we have the suppliers, and many, many other people. To establish a connection between the internal interested parties and the external interested parties, I believe that it's very important to highlight in our experience the relationship between the sustainability approach or the sustainable approach, the sustainable development in the broader sense, including obviously the S of the ESG, so the social, so the people, the safety, etc., and the stock price. On recently, last 31st of March, and again the 15th of October, we announced to the stock market, we are listed in the Tokyo Stock Exchange, our official commitment on sustainability. And we announced that we obtained a sustainability-linked loan. This takes care of the value, the stock price. So I mean, starting from the end of March, we had a significant increase of the stock price. Why? Because as Alan said, a lot of investors now, they are really focusing their attention not only on the financial result, but on the stability, on the sustainable companies, on the future, on the risk management, etc. And sustainability in this broadest sense is crucial to help to obtain much more investment. So, as all the big companies, we created our environmental, social, and governance, which is available on our website, managing and creating a plan, which is the Sustainable Development Plan, to address, to combine together the concept of taking care of the people, including obviously, or on top of that, the safety and health of the people, because without people, we cannot produce. If we have a lot of absenteeism for safety reasons, we cannot work. So the connection between the people, the profit, and obviously behind the sustainability projects, energy waste, water management, etc., there are a lot of opportunity. I think that which is the connection between Vision Zero and the sustainability? In our specific case, we created a system which is based on 3 big pillars to achieve the Vision Zero concept. So to achieve 0 accidents, not only injuries, but accident with the authorities, accident with the customers, with the suppliers, with the communities around us, 0 occupational illnesses, 0 wastes, including the quality wastes, the process wastes, etc., in a field where there are no inequalities and there is a high level of knowledge. To do that, I believe in the systems. So I think that the systems are very helpful. So the governance is important. Monozukuri in Japanese means the heart of manufacturing. So I think that being a manufacturing company, we need to reinforce the concept of connection between the sustainable development and the activities that we are doing every day in the manufacturing, and the communication, especially focused on the TN Academy, which is our way to train and develop the people, and the internal communication with the work council, the workers representative and the workers, each one of the workers. About the incentives, I think that when we talk about the incentives, we are not only talking about the money, even if the money is very important. And in this case, I would like to share with you some elements that we are using in our company, that considering that the variable pay is one of the 3 elements of the total rewards, and connecting the ES&H activities and targets and achievement to the goal and gain sharing programs, so to the variable compensation, is a great idea. For example, the number of safety kaizen planned, the number of ideas and suggestions provided by an individual or a team during a year, the active participation of the workers in training plans concerning safety and health. So in combination to the compensation, typically there are other plans, like in Italy we have Metasalute, so it's a sort of system to assist the people to have a good health and to take care of their health, and educational assistance program to decrease the lack of knowledge, and using the global mobility program to move the people around the world. I have to say that in conclusion, that if we will be able to create a very good work environment where we set up the rules of the game, we clearly identify the SMART goals, and we share the SMART goals and object the people, they will be able to participate in the life of the company, honestly, regularly, being informed about what's going on. Their contribution will increase to generate better results. I think that the ESG report is a fantastic element to communicate with the people, to show this is a Polish team, a beautiful picture. You see that the Vision Zero here is mentioned in the inclusion and diversity, in our commitment to the people, as well as to share, this is one of the pages of the Environment Social report, all the activities, all the targets, all the principles of an occupational safety and health good management. And with this, I hope that I have given you some additional food to thought, and I brought a little bit of my personal experience. So in Japanese, domo arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Franco. Very interesting, very comprehensive. I like the idea how you started in view of the Great Reset. You said companies must make profits, must grow, and leaders must lead. And great reset or not, I mean, this is the reality we're in, and I believe these are the parameters that are fixed in our society as it is. And so we have to work our way around it to improve and perform better, and to focus more on people and more on sustainability. I also like your slide about the sustainability linked loan. That's something that was new to me. And it has already been a discussion over the last years to look at stock markets and safety and health performances. So thank you for sharing this with us, Marco.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Yes, okay, thank you. So our next speaker is Dietmar Elster. He is a project leader in the European Agency for Safety and Health at Work in Bilbao, has done many research projects on economic benefits and on other OSH related and OSH performance related topics. And Dietmar, hello, I can see you.
Hello, good morning. I hope you can hear
in
me.
Bilbao? How is the weather there?
I'm in Düsseldorf actually, and the weather is very nice here. So yesterday I was already at the Congress on the fair. You know, we have a stand there at the fair, EU OSHA stand. So there were quite many people, which was very interesting to meet all the people in person again.
Wow, nice. Back to the new normal. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So Dietmar, shoot along. Just the floor is yours. You can run your...
Okay. Thank you very much for the kind introduction and the kind invitation, Bernd. It's a pleasure for me to speak to you about incentives, which is indeed one of my favorite topics, because it's really fascinating for me that with such simple measures, rather simple measures on a systems level of society, you can achieve great effects regarding health and safety, especially regarding also smaller enterprises. Now, before we talked more about the let's say the larger enterprises, and now also how you can incentivize a smaller enterprise to do more for health and safety, because for the smaller enterprise, the benefit of investing in health and safety is maybe less obvious as for the larger multinational enterprise. I hope you can see my screen now, Bernd, and everyone. Yeah, okay. So as I said, this is actually one of my favorite topics, as you can achieve a lot in health and safety with relatively simple measures. So actually, when I started at the agency back some 15 years ago, we started with a new project regarding external incentives, for example, through insurances, with bonus-malus systems, with other premium systems. And there we had a report which actually showed that in some countries, there are quite successful models of incentives, mainly via insurances or via subsidies, for example, in Finland and Germany, in Italy. And this project, we had also a very nice and effective expert group. This caused a lot of discussion in Europe, and also some countries then started to debate more about this topic of economic incentives for companies from the outside. And still we are continuing on this road, let's say. We just launched a new project, which is called supporting compliance. So how to encourage companies to do more for health and safety to improve their compliance. So on the one hand, we have the legislation which affects the smaller enterprise, also the larger enterprise, of course. And then on the other hand, how do we achieve actually compliance? I mean, the classical way is enforcement with a labor inspectorate. Also there we can look at interesting developments like smart inspection approaches using artificial intelligence and so on. So there is really a lot of development there to make it more effective. We are discussing the effects of prevention services. So what makes prevention services more effective or less effective in some member states? We have a review also on the business incentives, on economic incentives, like bonus-malus systems. And we also want to look at the supply chain, so how the larger enterprises influence the smaller ones via the supply chain. They can actually, with their purchasing power, they can exert also some pressure, not only on price, but also on the quality and how the products are produced. And what we heard also from Alan Jones, that more and more consumers, more and more investors are asking for responsible dealing with supply chains also on a worldwide level, so that our products are produced in a sustainable way with decent work. So that's more and more important for many people, for investors and consumers, and also for the social reporting of larger enterprises. We heard about these like social reporting systems like GRI, Global Reporting Initiative, or Global Impact. So where actually companies show that they are dealing responsibly with their supply chains, dealing responsible with OSH. And there we had now a review which was published in May this year with the lead researcher David Walters, where we actually discussed how, with all these different influences on the enterprise, how we can create let's say an ecosystem, an environment for an enterprise to do more for health and safety. And now we do a follow-up project where we're specifically looking more on the influence of supply chains, so how the larger enterprises can influence the smaller enterprises via the supply chains. For example, demanding certified OSH management systems that via the supply chains maybe leads to more and better contracts for the smaller enterprises. On the other hand, the larger enterprise can report this also in their social reporting reports in their certifications, or mention this. For example, the GRI reporting is asking for responsive dealing with the supply chain. But on the other hand, we want also to look on this, as I said, on this complete ecosystem. So what else is stimulating to the enterprise to do more for health and safety? For example, the accident insurance could do something with premiums for prevention measures, or with bonus-malus system. Labor inspectorates can do something with smart inspections, or even if they see they have a good health and safety management system, they can do less inspections in some countries, so which also means less burden for this company. So these are the projects, that's more holistic projects we are looking into now. But as I said in the past, we had very impressive also data which shows the effectiveness of economic incentives simply. And I showed this also in other conferences, but I think it's very important to see that really such simple measures, like here this incentive system which worked in the German butchery sector, where you give bonus points for prevention measures like using safety knives, like road safety training, or using skin protection. So very simple measures where you get bonus points. And if you have enough bonus points, you get a reduction in your insurance premium. So it's a very simple system applicable for all small enterprises. And it's not only based on this bonus-malus, so if you have less accidents or more accidents, because this for a small enterprise doesn't play a role, honestly, because the accident is also, there's an element of good luck or bad luck. So, but if you are really promoting safe behavior, indeed, then this is actually leading to more health and safety in the smaller enterprises. And also our evaluation showed that here you see the red line, which is the enterprises which did not take part in the incentive scheme, and the blue line is the one from the enterprises which did take part. And over the several years, there was a big reduction in the accident rates. So here are only the accident rates, but it's also led to less occupational diseases, for example. So there was a huge benefit also for the insurance company, because of course, giving those incentives, giving reductions in premiums for health and safety measures, on the one hand, it's the cost, and here it was like 8 million euro for the insurance company. But on the other hand, there was a huge benefit because every year there were about 1,000 accidents less. And then if you compare the cost benefit, let's say on society level, so it was even higher than on the company level. So we have calculated a cost benefit of 1 to 5. So the insurance invested €1 in the prevention, and as insurance, the companies had 5 times accidents less. So 5 times more benefits for the insurance company. So it's not only a business case for the company itself, but moreover, and as I'm speaking here for a European agency, now it is more on the regulatory side, representing the society, it's really a good investment on society level. I mean, this is, and therefore we should discuss more, I think, on society level, what we can do for health and safety, how to create a good environment for enterprises. There was another more recent evaluation of the German insurance of the food and HoReCa, hotels and restaurant sector, and they also introduced an incentive system for their companies, and they asked the labor inspectors afterwards, so what was the effect in the companies when they checked the companies, what is the effect of the incentive system? So most of the labor inspectors said that the companies, they accepted better the proposed measures by the labor inspectorate, and also they put the proposed measures more into practice. So very important impact of the incentive system. Also, you could see that the companies who did not take part in the incentive system and those who did take part, so this who did not take part had more hazards here per visit of the labor inspector than those who did take part regularly. And also there was a higher participation in campaigns. So this is a large insurance in Germany of the food and HoReCa sector. I think they have over 3 million companies insured, and they are running larger campaigns. So for example, about healthy bags, safe transport, or skin protection. And in all these campaigns, it showed that the companies who are actually taking part in the campaign, or those ones who are participating in the incentive system, they are also more likely to take part in these campaigns. So there's a clear effect also of this incentive scheme. So and as I said, with a relatively simple measure, you can achieve a lot. That's still very fascinating for me, also for the smaller companies. And we are continuing now in this project on supporting compliance. As I said, we did a first overarching review in May, which was published, where we have an executive summary, which is published in several languages, and then a final report and literature review, where you have all the information about the research which has been done up to date about these different influencing factors for compliance. And now we are looking into more in-depth project. We started this Lift OSH project, Leverage Influence for OSH, through a market-related influence. There we especially looking into supply chains, CSR and economic incentives, and we are focusing on the agri-food and construction industry, because these industries have also been quite affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, and there we think it's very important, very interesting to do something there. And further along the line, we will also focus on state influence. So we will look what we can do via inspection or prevention services to influence the companies to do more for health and safety. So this is our long-term plan. In conclusion, we can say we can do a lot. We can see with simple measures, we can achieve a lot. So with simple measures on a systems level, like introducing incentives into an insurance system, we can achieve a lot of improvement in health and safety in company, especially in the smaller companies. Of course, we have challenges. Now, I showed you some examples from Germany, and they have a special social insurance setting. I think my follower, Sven Tim, he will also go more in depth with that system. But we have other countries with a different history, with different settings. So how to adapt these incentive systems to different countries, and also to consider now what is the impact, for example, of the COVID-19 pandemic, how it affects the supply chains, how it affects different companies. But I see also there are a lot of opportunities. We have now a lot new technology. We can use artificial intelligence. It's far more easy to monitor health and safety, to have a better risk assessment, for example, to have better inspections using smart technology, and also to involve better our stakeholders, to involve better the trade unions, for example, the trade federations, and also with these involvement of stakeholders, we can achieve better results, for example, in inspections, but also in creating more incentives for health and safety. So thank you very much, Bernd. Thank you very much to the audience. So if there are any questions, please let me know. These are further information. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dietmar. Somehow my camera has stopped working. I don't know why,
okay.
But probably still hear my voice. Thank you. We are still good in time, but
okay.
I would just quickly like to ask our last speaker, Sven Tim, and I see his camera is working, which is lovely. I know Sven already for many, many years. I think the first project we did together was somewhere around 2011 in Turkey. And ever since, he has also been a loyal supporter of any kind of OSH-related activities. And he is head of the Central Prevention Division at the German Social Accident Insurance, the DGUV. And I believe the DGUV has also quite many good examples related to incentives, Sven, isn't it?
Yes, of course. Thank you very much, Bernd. Yes, I think it's my pleasure to speak for the German Social Accident Insurance Scheme, which is sometimes called the mother of the social or statutory accident insurance schemes. Dietmar already presented several. Can you put me on the big screen, please? Is that possible? Because still Dietmar is there, but without his camera on. Bernd? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Hello?
Yeah, can you put me on the big screen, please? So that I can share my presentation.
Yeah, well, our technicians.
You can share now.
Okay, then I will share. Okay. One moment. Yeah, and it's my pleasure to speak for the German system, which was already mentioned several times by Dietmar. I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes, perfect.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a great pleasure to be invited. I had been on A+A as well in Düsseldorf until this morning, but I decided to return to my home place in order to have a more stable internet connection. And I think this is worthwhile because I recognize in others that it is sometimes weaker on that mobile event. Yeah. Dietmar already presented several examples from the German social accident insurance scheme on incentives, but maybe I can introduce at least the system we were talking about, and Dietmar were talking about, and I'm talking about. The German social accident insurance scheme was already founded in 1884 by the German Chancellor Bismarck. It was in a series of establishing of social insurance schemes. Our system on social insurance in Germany has generally the approach that the contributions are paid on a parity base by employers and employees, but only for the accident insurance. It's solely the employer who pays the contribution. In Germany, we do have 9 institutions for industry and trade, big ones. Dietmar already mentioned the BG for the hotel, restaurant and catering sector and the food industry, the BGN. And we also have regional public accident insurance institutions, 24 of these. We have actually a little bit more than 4 million companies and institutions. When we are talking about institutions, we also mean schools and universities and institutions like this. Our legal mandate has 3 pillars. The first pillar is, of course, prevention. So we have to prevent occupational accidents, diseases, and work-related health hazards. And we are very happy about a general clause in our law which says that we can do it with all suitable means. This is very important for us. So we are to decide what are the suitable means. This is not directly described in the law. We are also in charge of rehabilitation. So to say, restore the health and performance of the insured people with all suitable means after they had an occupational accident or they were suffering from or are suffering from an occupational disease. And last but not least, the classical insurance part of it is to pay compensation. So awarding monetary benefits to the insured or in the very bad cases of fatalities to their surviving dependents. The special thing with the German social accident insurance scheme is that we are providing prevention services. And it's a broad set. As you can see, we classified them as 10 prevention services. And these services are provided by different establishments. And one establishment is, for example, our 2,200 inspectors. Just for industry and trade, and for the public sector, there are additionally some 100 inspectors for the agricultural scheme, which is a different one, and I'm not representing this. One of these services is labeled incentive systems, and they are prevention tools to be used by our organizations, our member organizations. I'm speaking for DGOV, which is the umbrella organization of those 9 industry and trade social accident insurance institutions and the 24 accident insurance institutions of the public sector. And the background is that we want to motivate companies to make special prevention efforts. On the one hand, they are then intended to strengthen an existing motivation, these incentives approaches, on the side of the company by increasing the benefits and reducing costs. And on the other hand, they are intended to help to reduce inhibiting factors. There are different kinds of...
jump some slides. You have 2 more minutes. Yeah?
Does it work now?
Yeah, I said you might have to jump some slides because you have 2 more minutes.
Okay, good. Mostly all of our members have put in place incentive schemes. So all the big ones dealing with industry and trade, so the BGs, Berufsgenossenschaften, and approximately 80% of our public accident insurance institutions as well. More than, let's say, more than 90 mostly sector-specific incentive schemes are offered. And there are different kinds of financial premium equalization. Dietmar was talking about bonus malus, premium schemes, non-financial incentive schemes. I will come to this a little bit later. That happened already on A+A, one event which I will present. And We have health and safety competitions as well as we are granting seals of approval and other recognitions. There is a legal basis for this. And the structure is according to our law. We are working on the basis of a federal law. It's called SPG 7, Roman letters 7. And for each kind of incentive we are providing, there is a legal basis for it. The financial incentives consist of contributions, surcharges, or discounts. They were already presented in some specific examples or with some specific examples by Dietmar. It's about the premium payments, bonus malus. It's about health and safety competitions. So there is a one-off payment as an award for a proposal, idea, or measure. There are seals of approval and certificates. This is very effective because in advance, prior to the granting of this incentive, there is a check and generally a complete new installation of health and safety means and measures. Within the bonus malus scheme, I don't want to go into too much into depth into this because Dietmar already presented some precise examples. And the background is to create any kind of economic material incentive to promote. And as Dietmar already said, this is especially effective for small and medium-sized companies as well. Let's say for a big one like Siemens or for Daimler, it is not so interesting to get a financial support or to get a reduction in the premium, depending on what they're doing. And generally, they are better positioned in health and safety than small and medium-sized enterprises. But there are also intangible incentives. That means that we have health and safety competitions. And I already mentioned the seals of approval or idea competition. On Tuesday, in the course of the opening of A+A, the part of the Congress, you know, there's a big fair and there's a Congress, also a big one. We had the pleasure to grant the OSH Awards, the German OSH Awards 2021. And as you can see here, the winners on the stage, and there are very, very different organizations who got a grant, who received a grant. For example, this guy here is representing a very small company, and he did a lot for his people just for passion. And he did not get any grant prior to his initiative. He runs a company with only 5 people, but now his efforts are granted with a price, and it's also a monetary price. He received 10,000 euros for a small company. This is really a remarkable amount of money. Yeah, our premium systems are award systems serving to create incentives, and it works quite well. I don't want to bother you too much with those things because Dietmar already presented. Unfortunately, we did not talk prior to this in detail, new data. So I will skip what I prepared as well. What I can say is that we need more evaluation about all our prevention measures and also about our incentive schemes. There are some, like the latest one, which was implemented by BGN in 2020, but we decided to have more evaluation parts in the course of checking our prevention services. Thank you for your attention. That's it.
Thank you, Sam. And thank you, everybody, for listening to this session on the incentives to promote a safe and healthy prevention culture. We have a couple of minutes, and I don't know, Master of Ceremony, Mr. Konkolewski, Shall I summarize something, or shall we have a quick round table of 10 minutes now? What do you suggest?
Well, I think you do the round table and then we do the summary at the closing.
Oh, okay, good. So, so we have about 10 minutes, so that makes maybe one question to each of you. So, Sven, since you are already here on screen, let me start with you. You mentioned the intangible incentives, the OSH awards, the seal of approvals, the certificates. How would you actually see this unfolding in the future? I mean, I still have the Great Reset in the back of my mind, which is a concept, is a provocative concept, because in a way it means rethink everything. But here what I've heard from everyone is that everybody says, well, we have set parameters. I work for an organization. We cannot just rethink everything. We need to kind of innovate. So where do you think, what do you think is the impact of these OSH awards? Is this actually something that could really promote the thinking of prevention for Germany?
Oh, this is a challenging question. Thank you for this.
Sorry for that.
Yeah. So you are. Yeah, I know you. I wouldn't say that it works for the whole of Germany generally. Yeah, but I think there is some truth in it. What I already mentioned in my final words is that we have to prove that prevention works. And I think this is a crucial thing, a path we have to follow in the future as well. And I think what is still, and this is what I like so much on Vision Zero, is that we have to make prevention not a boring legal and technical thing. We have to work hard on make it an emotional thing, which catches the people in their emotions, in their feelings. And I think we are on a very good way with Vision Zero. I think the success of the Vision Zero strategy, it started as a campaign and is now, I would say, some sort of a movement. It's a Vision Zero movement with more than 15,000 followers, not only followers as single persons, but also as big organizations like Siemens, like Daimler, if I'm talking about German big companies. So yeah, I think we have to work hard and we have to do a lot to catch the attraction, because there are so many competing things. And it was quite impressive to recognize at A+A, the first part of the Vision Zero days. It was the link which was made between the climate change and all measures and needs associated with this and health and safety. So I think we can learn something from the environmental movement in order to attract our sector more to even just say the ordinary people.
Right. Well, thank you, Sven. And then to Dietmar, actually, because Sven just ended with like new soft factors, different aspects of OSH that have not been explored so far, maybe a little bit. And you presented in a couple of studies like your leverage instruments for OSH, supply chains, corporate social responsibility. All of this, we discussed it maybe 10 years ago, but it was never at the forefront of safety and health. It was more kind of a sustainable societal responsibility, and safety and health is now more and more closing in, and people are realizing how important safety and health is for the sales, for performance of the company, and for the benefits. Could you say something about that? How do you see the future of these leverage instruments and these new things compared to the traditional approach of just preventing an accident by putting a kind of a safety guard in front of a machine so that people wouldn't cut their hands? I mean, we're talking about totally different approaches, right? You are muted, Stephen. You're muted just like I was at the beginning.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bernd. Yes, you are completely right. So before, let's say, we had a focus on technical prevention, and now we are talking about improving the prevention culture. And but still, you have to influence people's behavior, and I think that's a challenge. How we influence the behavior of the enterprises and of the workers. And there is, of course, one way is campaigning, raising awareness. On the other hand, maybe with this rising awareness, we only reach those ones who are already, let's say, open to health and safety. And we are, especially among the smaller companies, I think we should also try to get more foot in the door to those who are not so open to health and safety. And there, maybe we can come in with these economic incentives for small enterprises, or with some, let's say, pressures or benefits via the supply chain. And especially what we have seen during the COVID pandemic, that, for example, in the meat industry, there were huge problems with working conditions, so that also depended on supply chain problems, or that, for example, the German government now decided that you cannot have, let's say, subcontracted workers anymore in this meat company. So you have to really employ the worker and take over responsibility for his safety and health in the company, and also in the agri-food sector. That's why we have chosen this sector also as a focus for the new project, how we can influence via supply chain these. And I think we need both. We need legal measures, inspection, but we need also this, let's say, market pressure, or also the consumer pressure. Let's say investors, they all have this mindset of more, the sustainability in the larger sense. So climate change, but also health and safety. And yesterday I was in a very interesting session when we talk about telework, working at home, which is, on the one hand, we are talking about this from the OSH perspective, how we can ensure that you have good working conditions at home and stress management. And on the other hand, it has a big environmental impact. So because people do not have to commute to work, you will, in the future, you will save a lot of office space in the cities. So that means you can save a lot of carbon dioxide footprint, because you just reduce your office surface by 40%. That means less heating, less electricity. People do not commute to work. So health and safety and climate change have a direct link there, if you talk about telework, for example.
Yeah, so sustainability is definitely a big issue also for safety. And because time is ticking, Franco, talking about sustainability and also these internal and external factors. Dietmar had just raised it, that there is, on the one side, there is the performance, on the other side there is the community expectations for the environment. You had said that we're always in these two worlds. So could you maybe elaborate a little bit more and maybe say some more words about what Nakashima is doing to actually really become a leader in OSH and to meet both sides, the internal and the external?
Yeah, if I can, maybe I can answer in this way. I would like to connect these comments with Dietmar and Sven comments. No, because I would like to share a very recent experience that I had. We are going to prepare the next TN Academy. So I mean the training and development plan for 2022. So what I did is I prepared a survey and I spread the survey among my organization. So the top managers, so 54 people involved. At a certain point, there was a list of options, arguments, topics to be considered into the next training, big training plan. And do you know that the number one in the desire of the people, in the needs of the people, and the number two are sustainable development and safety management. So what I want to say is that our internal stakeholders are requiring to be involved in the safety. So they already realized that it's extremely important for the future, for a sustainable future of the company. So what I would like to say is that, and what I believe that in my field we are missing, is to advertise the good that we are doing, to really involve the people, involve the communities, involve our neighbors, involve our customers in this kind of projects. I don't want to call them innovation, because we are talking about health and safety. Health and safety was born 250 years ago. 250 years ago. So it, for some extent, it's ridiculous to think to spend a lot of time talking about safety and health. That should be something that is related to the use of the human resources. I mean, so because we are talking about resources, so at the end of the day, money. It's incredible for me to think that we are so far away, but on the other hand, we have a lot of rooms to improve, so it's positive.
Thank you, Franco. Talking about resources and money, Alan, last quick question, because the time is now unfortunately ticking. Money, resources, you mentioned something about that OSH product or products should be labeled. There should be a purpose behind them so that consumers would actually buy them, because in the end it's the choice of the consumer whether he's going to go with a good OSH company or not. So the purpose. So what do you think? How can these products be better promoted? How can this be put up more prominently in the market?
Yeah, I think the question is a great question, Ben, but I think the question that sits behind it is, how do we level up? Okay, how do our products, how do our offerings level up in the world? We're seeing, and the consumers are seeing, our kids are seeing mass migration, people entering the informal economies. The world is on the move because we haven't leveled up. We can't invest in education systems in emerging economies if all that happens is their brightest and best move to developed economies where jobs are better. We have to level up. We have to join hands and close the gap between the quality of working conditions in the markets where many of those goods are produced and the markets where those goods are consumed. If we can do that, we produce great goods and we develop great lives for those people that at the moment need our help. So, you know, how do we produce, how do we get together? Franco talks about some fantastic work. How can we get more organizations like Franco's to work right through the supply chain, just as, you know, the Nikes and the Siemens are doing? There's some brilliant examples out there. How can we do more of that to level up through our products?
That's the question, and this question might be answered in our next session. Creating new metrics for prevention and business value creation. So thank you everyone for this beautiful 1 hour 15 minutes. Thank you to all the speakers, thank you to all the participants, and have a good continuation of that conference. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, now it's my turn again to thank, of course, Bernd for his very dynamic introduction of the session. So I have to learn more about the technology you used there. It was really impressive. And also, as always, a big thanks to Alan, to Franco, to Dietmar and Sven for sharing such interesting insights and innovative incentives to promote a safe and healthy prevention culture at enterprise level. I think there's a lot of good information that can be used by our audience in order to implement Vision Zero. So time is flying, and we are now already approaching our fourth and last session about creating new metrics for prevention and business value creation. This session will be chaired by Gillian Hamilton. She's the founder and CEO of Managed Damage, She's also the Managing Director of the Safety Governance Institute Global and CEO of the Safety Governance Foundation. As many of you will know, Gillian is a committed promoter of Vision Zero and has been actively promoting and supporting the ORP's Great Reset initiative from the very outset, and in spite of sometimes huge time differences, and has always been willing to join us online from Australia, such as today. So Gillian, it's a real pleasure to have you with us today. You have the floor.
Many thanks, Hans Horst. I am absolutely honored again to be here with you, my colleagues, and of course, my friends from all over the world. So again, I thank you for allowing me to be part of such a great session. Last night was phenomenal. I think there's no other real way to describe that. The entry, which was last night to Australians, so let me just say that, was fantastic, and we were very honoured to see that. So Miss Natalie, can you tell me if I need to swap my display, or are you getting the right page there?
No, we can do it two different screens.
Okay, you have two different screens. Would you like me to swap my displays?
Use the slide. Okay, perfect.
Okay, lovely. Thank you so much. So I have some great people working with me today. We are talking about creating new metrics for prevention and business value. So safety, of course, is the new big, and it hasn't changed, and it seems to get bigger and bigger. And one of the real elephants in the room that we spoke about last night and yesterday for you in Dusseldorf was the fact that there's this new piece. There's this new piece about sustainability. And I've been seeing safety professionals really get havoc about knowing about sustainability and ESG for the first time in years or ever. Some of the elite professionals who join us today have said to me, I've been in safety for 50 years and I've never even heard of ESG until last year. So we are in a new space, and we are talking about what is measurement. And why are we measuring? And the reason we're measuring is because organizations all over the world, post-pandemic, are trying so difficult to be seen and to be good corporate citizens. Now, you wonder why some want to be good corporate citizens. Well, there's a very important incentive. One of the most important incentives is to avoid stakeholder activism. Stakeholder activism is where the stakeholders, so customers, shareholders, workers, have a voice. And it's very interesting because many, many years ago, only 20, which seems like seconds, there was no such thing as the internet. There wasn't even email. People, if they wanted to talk to someone publicly, they had to physically go and see them. They didn't have the ability to talk from Australia right now to you, wherever you are in the world. We had to send a letter. And that letter, if it was from Australia, went on a boat, not a plane, to you in Europe. And you might write a letter to the CEO of a company and say, I'm not happy with what you've done. But today, the speed of activism, the speed of how a shareholder and a stakeholder can have a seat at the table and can be heard is instant, as they pick up their phone and tweet about what happened to them, or they take their video and start to actively video what is going on. This is part of the measurement that investors and shareholders start to have about us and organizations. They are measuring us, our reputation, who we are, and are we actually good corporate citizens? Safe is the new orange. And orange is the new black if you don't do it right, says a lot of the lawmakers. It's very interesting because this year, for the first year ever, a huge company, the second largest company in the whole entire world, the CEO, who is the #1 richest person in the whole entire world, wrote a letter to their shareholders, as he always does. Mr. Benzo says value is best thought of as a metric for innovation. Amazon has been famous for its innovation, and they've also been famous for their supreme value to shareholders, for their supreme value in the size of the company, in their portfolio. Everything here is measured in numbers. The shareholders' portfolio, $21 billion. The employees, $91 billion. 3PL sellers, $25 billion. Customers, $164 billion. The total worth, $301 billion. All off the back of a guy who originally wanted to online sell books, and now he's taking people to the moon. There is nothing but innovation in his pockets. And let's be honest, the rest of it's filled with all of this shareholder value. This company is valued more than all of the countries that are coloured in orange. It's worth more than Australia. It's worth more than Spain. It's worth more than Africa. It's worth more than South Korea. All the orange countries. Amazon's market cap of $1.7 trillion surpasses all of the nations listed here. That's how they measure value in dollars. But Amazon just recently said that they need a better vision for how we create value for their employees, a vision for the workers' success. Now, this is very new for Amazon. And actually, I recall a conversation with one of the world OSH leaders who, when I mentioned Amazon in this vein, there was an eye roll. When we lead, others follow, and there's no doubt about that. Amazon is a world leader, and they said in a shareholder letter, I want to be Earth's safest place to work. In the whole entire world, he wants to be the safest place to work. That is brand new. Brand new for a corporate citizen to even mention the word safety. We are in a new era of time where measurement includes safety. This is new. He says we've never failed when we put our minds to something, and we're not going to fail on this either. And there's a shareholder letter there you can get a hold of. And he says, if any of our shareholders are concerned that Earth's best employer and Earth's safest place to work might dilute Earth's most customer-centric company that makes lots and lots of money, let me put your mind at ease. He says, I am confident that these will reinforce others. Now, it's very interesting that he says that. And it follows on from the conversations from Bern and from Dietmar and Sven, which talk about insurances, where the costs of damage from these companies, if done poorly, can skyrocket to the moon even. It's now all about purpose. Being a good corporate citizen is not only about reducing your damage costs from COVID incidents, from workplace incidents, from people sitting at home, from the great resignation. 40% of people are just about to have a new job because they've just about had enough. And for a company measuring that, the cost of replacement for a human every time they leave a job is at least $50,000. And then you've got to find one. And in these days, the recruiter often makes at least 20 or 30 just to give you that person. It's funny that now all we hear is shareholders and stakeholders. For even myself, 5 years ago, I never even heard of a shareholder, and I didn't know a worker was a stakeholder. So I make a joke here about stake because I know so many of you out there didn't know that in an organization, a worker is a stakeholder. See, we all talk in different languages, the boards and the workforce and the safety management teams. It's like they speak in Guatemalan and we speak in Russian or whatever it might be. But what's really interesting is that they are talking about corporate governance and they are measuring us. And interestingly, safety was never on the agenda because it didn't have a financial impact enough to matter. But COVID has put safety on the table. So in all these corporate governance guidelines, safety is awash. It hardly appears. So it's time for us to adjust these measurement tools. It's time for us to adjust what all the shareholder and investment people are looking at and start to give some new metrics. Because when things change, the measuring sticks change, it's time for us to measure a little differently. We've been measuring with lost time injury frequency rates and total recordable injury frequency rates. As a board member, LTI is a long-term investment, and the farcical numbers that we use to measure safety are nonsensical. And if you sit in a board and you hear this nonsense, it's very hard to pick up and touch the value of safety. And that's what we need to help, because actually, what are they measuring? They measure in dollars. And how do we measure? We compare apples and apples, apples and bananas, and investors are looking for a different kind of measure. The challenge that we've got out there right now is that the new measurement tool people are financial experts, and they are not non-financial risk experts or safety professionals of any kind. Board people and leaders around the world that make organizational decisions, 99% of them are financial experts and have zero experience in safety. So when we're looking at E, S, and G, the S is a wash. If you look at all the measurement tools that are out there, sure, we talk about decent work, but our companies don't have people chained up. And if they do, the supply chain lawmakers need to do better work. We're talking about real measurements, real differences. And when you look at those lists up there, we just don't have safety featuring in a way that's meaningful. It really is, at the moment, a bit of a wash for the S. And I don't want to see greenwashing. I want to see orange gold. And I want to see seeing oranges and oranges being measured. We do need to put a little bit of the old and a little bit of the new together. But when the materialisticness changes, when the measuring sticks change, we have to change. It's fantastic to see that Europe has taken hold of the Vision Zero in its strategy, that it's just not okay to kill people at work. That's where they start to measure. And they're using the European Pillar of Social Rights, but it's up to organizations to be real good and even great corporate citizens to lead the way and actually start to be responsible. It really is time for meaningful measurement tools for non-financial risk. Today, I welcome some elite experts. To our next floor, we have Mr. Helmut Unz from the Vision Zero Steering Committee of ESA. He will talk to us about proactive leading indicators and will be followed on by Morten from KK Wind Solutions. So I pass the floor over to you. Thank you so much.
Okay, you hear me? Good. So a warm welcome from Germany, from the quarry here behind me. These are most small and medium companies, and I don't think if these we have to work on that they understand us what we want. And now I want to share my screen. So we see it now, yes? Okay, I continue. So my topic is the new proactive leading indicators for Vision Zero. And to introduce this topic, we talk a lot already, but let me say that we have the Vision Zero movement. I like this wording, the strategy. And this is really beyond compliance towards a prevention culture. And let me connect a little bit to what we heard in the last presentations when we have been talking about inspection, compliance, enforcement, market pressure. I think really a sustainable compliance is only possible if we create a prevention culture and if we generate a demand or a mindset driven by self-motivation of the people in the enterprises, of the leaders. So we have this strategy, we have the 7 golden rules, leadership is in the center, and we have the 3 dimensions, the 3 pillars of Vision Zero: safety, health, well-being. Well-being will be really the topic of the future because it's very much connected to leadership. And for all of this, meanwhile, in the Vision Zero approach, we have a good toolbox. The main tool is the Vision Zero guide. And now we continue to develop tools to assist the companies, to assist the industry, and to assist also the small and medium companies. And therefore, we have been thinking about how can we make Vision Zero operational. So traditionally, we have the lagging indicators, you know that, accidents, injury statistics, and these are reactive. You cannot change it in the future. It's just things which happened in the past. And we believe that we need, in addition to the lagging indicators, something bringing us to the future. And therefore, what is a leading indicator? Everybody knows about this model of the Swiss cheese. And we know that if we have a hazard and we have holes, suddenly we get the harm, we get the accident, we get the injury, we get the disease. So the holes represent the lagging indicators, and they create harm or illness. And the barriers represent the leading indicators, avoiding harm or illness. So this is the difference between those. And therefore, we really believe that we have to put beside the lagging indicators, leading indicators like numbers of trainings, maintenance, safety walks, and so on. And we analyzed the situation and we found that such a set of leading indicators is not yet available, and anybody is looking for a proven set of leading indicators. So again, why leading indicators? Because the lagging ones do not provide any clues as to what is needed for improvement or how it should be done, but the leading indicators are prospective, have a predictive value. They help the enterprises to identify their own strengths and weaknesses. They provide a feedback and a feed-forward mechanism and can be used for benchmarking as well inside the company, but maybe in the future as well above companies. We organized a project to develop these leading indicators. We had a group of 4 scientists. The main scientist was Gerard Zwetsloot from Netherlands. And we had a very open process to develop it. So we asked all our partners to comment, to give input. And so I think we have a very sound basis for the product now. We started that project with literature study, and we found that there is already mentioned a lot of indicators, of leading indicators, more than 100. And we had to select the right ones, which fits to our 7 golden rules. And the criteria to choose our leading indicators have been, are they proactive? Do they have any relevance for the 3 pillars, safety, health, and well-being? Are they, let's say, relatively easy to measure? Is there any evidence on the effectiveness from the scientific research, at least for safety? And do they have potential for synergies? So last year, we have been in the situation to publish our proactive leading indicators. And this is a guide to measure and manage safety, health, and well-being at work, and is an offer by the ISA and by its partners and by the Vision Zero initiative. This guide can be free, downloaded from the website in 8 languages. Please see the link here. And it has about 40 pages, so today I cannot go in all the details, but I want to mention that now we have 14 proactive leading indicators of Vision Zero, 2 indicators for any golden rule. And I will not read them all, but show you the 14 leading indicators, for example, pre-work briefings, or initial training, refresher training, and suggestions from the workers, and how you award them, how you do recognition of what the input from workers is. So these are the 14 leading indicators. And in the guide, you find these 14 pages, 14 fact sheets. And in any fact sheets, we describe the aims of the leading indicator, the key concepts behind, the good practice, limitations, if we see any, how you can measure it, and we give 3 options, and how you can show it, the results, in a graphical way, just to give an idea, to offer an idea. So we also developed and suggest 3 options how companies can use the indicators, because we want also offer them to small and medium companies and not only to the global players of the world. So the option 1 is a very simple one. You can use it just as yes or no checklist. Maybe this is a good starting point for small and medium companies. Have a look, what is the description, and then you answer, are you doing it, yes or no? The second option is a frequency estimation. So we ask you how often, what do you estimate? Is it regularly done or very seldom to implement it? And the third option is the most advanced one. It has to be then a quantitative measurement. And then you can show your results in such a diagram, either separately for the 3 pillars, safety, health, and well-being, or in a combined manner. At the end of the presentation, I would like to point out or to show a possible process how you can start in a company to really use these indicators, because the Vision Zero guide and the indicators, and finally coming to the supply chain, to the majority of supply chain, or even to the reports or indicators or metrics you have to tell your investors, it's all connected. So it's not simple activities. So I would say, or suggest, create, first of all, your commitment to Vision Zero as a company. Create awareness and competence workshops. And it should start with the top of the company, with the CEO, with the management. then you should use the Vision Zero guide for a first self-assessment. So you can create a Vision Zero action plan and a timetable. Then next step can be choose the suitable leading indicators to start. You can start with maybe 2 indicators. You must not take all 14 at the very beginning. Choose the option how you want to use the indicators, yes or no, or measurement. And then you have to define, of course, the targets for the chosen activities. For example, if you say every manager has to make a safety walk, let's say once a week or once a month, so these are the targets that have to be set. Then you must control the implementation of the activities and measure and observe the numbers. You can compare then with your targets. And of course, you have to evaluate the results and you have to compare it with your targets, but you have to compare it as well with your accident numbers and with the diseases. So this is the connection between leading and lagging indicators. And if you see you have maybe good results in the leading indicators, but the accidents and the lagging indicators are not improving, I think then you must revise your strategy and update it. So this is my recommendation how to introduce it. And for those who want to have more information about the background of our 14 leading indicators, there is also a scientific paper by the researchers group here. There is a link, it's also free available. And that's my presentation for the leading indicators of Vision Zero. I'm very happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Many thanks, Mr. Helmut. And I know that you're pushing through a cold, you told me today, and I really appreciate you working through that. So thank you so much. You still sounded fantastic, so well done. A quick question for you, because actually I think that Peter Kynes and Gerard's work is very fine. And I have to say, in your presentation where you give a step-by-step about how to enact the Vision Zero program is very, very helpful. And when we spoke with each other last at the World Congress, we found that 58% of people who watched had not yet known about the Vision Zero proactive leading and lagging indicators. So I think that this is a great chance for you to maybe give a little bit more of a plug for that, for people to get and tell them where they can find it, because it's a great, a very fantastic process, and the indicators are brilliant. Please tell me just a little more.
What is the question? To talk about the indicators now, or?
Just quickly, where do you find these leading indicators, and what do you think is the best thing about using the leading indicators?
Yeah, I think I tried to explain or to give a recommendation already. We did not invent the indicators completely new. We just evaluated what has been used, but every company so far is doing different, and every investor asking different questions. So I think to make it more acceptable and more common, we have to try to create a certain found basis of those, a set of indicators, and these are our 14 indicators. This is our option, our offer to the world of industry and to the world of investors, and also to the world of the politicians. And I think the more we speak with a simple, clear, not too sophisticated voice, the more we can motivate employers, also small and medium enterprises, to come on board, to join our initiative, and not to feel only every day under pressure. I think we must manage that we we motivate them. Yeah, there must be a willing, and we need also, if I have a link maybe to the labor inspectors, we must involve the labor inspectors. They must transport the clear message as an option of a solution, and not a pressure to better comply, or I will enforce the law. So we have to change our marketing strategy for our messages.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hellman. And I think you are right. I have experience with lots of companies who are sick of having lots of different indicators to try and meet to. So if at some point we could start to get on the same table for these metrics, it will reduce overwork for companies who are trying to align with this strategy and trying to align with that metric and get a accreditation for that one. There's a lot of work and money involved in those things. So thank you so much, Mr. Helmut. Fantastic interlude.
Pleasure.
So now we are over to Mr. Morten Nelson from KK, and I would love to hear from you. So the floor is over to you. Here you are. Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm just going to try to start and share my screen.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
You see my screen now?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well done. Thank you.
Perfect. So, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation to speak on this great online conference about Vision Zero and the Great Reset for Europe. My name is Morten Lindorf Nielsen, and I work as a global HSE specialist at KK Wind Solution. In this session, I'm going to tell you about why and how we in KK Wind Solution are working with Vision Zero and the 14 proactive leading indicators. First, I'm going to tell a little bit about KK Wind Solution. KK Wind Solution is a system supplier of complex electromechanical solutions to the wind industry. Our products are present in more than 35,000 wind turbines around the world and in more than 65% of the global offshore wind turbines. The company have existed for more than 40 years and was part of the very first windmill built in Denmark many years ago. The company is today owned by AP Møller Holding, which bought the company in 2019 as a long-term investment. We are certified in the three standards ISO 9001 Quality Management System, ISO 14001 Environmental Management System, and ISO 45001 Occupational Health and Safety Management System. Worldwide, about 1,600 dedicated people is working at KK Wind Solution, and we operate at the following locations around the world. Our headquarters is based in Ikast, Denmark. We have factories in Poland, India, and Taiwan. We have sales offices in America, Spain, Germany, and China. And for the last 2.5 years, KK Wind Solution had an organic growth of 60%, so we're growing quite fast. Here you have some of the examples of the different products that we provide. We build up to plus 20-ton system down to small components, plus we develop software systems to the wind industry. In KK Wind Solution, we have been measuring our health and safety performance for years, and I've had the same target as many other companies, that we should achieve 0 working accidents. I do not know if that is possible, but the results are improving. In 2019, we had 7.2 lost time cases per 1 million working hours. And in 2020, that number had more than half to 2.5 lost time cases per 1 million working hours. And until now, in 2021, for a 12-month rolling period, we have 2.2 lost time cases per 1 million working hours. So we're going in the right direction. Since 2019, we have internally been talking about which framework we should base our health and safety work on. Should it be Vision Zero, Bradley, or Safeway, which is a Danish system that combines Bradley and Vision Zero. But when Vision Zero presented the 14 proactive leading indicators together with the guide how to work with Vision Zero's proactive leading indicators in the end of August last year, the Vision Zero concept made sense for us, and it was by then we started our Vision Zero journey. Why did we choose Vision Zero and the 14 proactive leading indicators? First of all, we needed a global framework for our health and safety system. We needed a proactive way to measure our health and safety performance globally. And I think the strength with Vision Zero is that the concept is proactive and is looking ahead, and then it involves health and well-being. What have we done? In the very beginning of our journey, we had several meetings with local stakeholders, including some of the members from our top management team, where we explained the Vision Zero concept. We conducted and analyzed together with the local health and safety professional which system and procedures did we already have that supported the 7 golden rules and the 14 proactive leading indicators. Then we started a dialogue with human resource, because in many organizations, the topic well-being is mainly placed in human resource. And it is, in my mind, important to involve them from the beginning, if you in the long term want to succeed with the Vision Zero philosophy. Then we made a plan together with the local health and safety professionals, how to implement the 7 golden rules and the 14 proactive leading indicators. At the same time, we were developing a way to make Vision Zero visible in the organization. And for that purpose, we developed our own Vision Zero logo, and we built a platform in our management system to support our Vision Zero journey. Then finally, our CEO launched the Vision Zero concept on an internal global town hall meeting in April this year, which was the official start of our Vision Zero journey. At the same time, we launched the Vision Zero icon on our main internal page. The icon led to a platform that we have built in the management system. Visualization phase. The Vision Zero logo is in our own colors. We have made space for sustainability, which cover environment and other topics related to sustainability. When we launched the logo in spring 2021, we named the green area of the circle environment. But in the end of August 2021, the organization was ready to change the name into sustainability. Why sustainability? In the future, sustainability will have a bigger role in many industrial companies, and the topic will, together with safety, health, and well-being, be fighting internal for awareness. So why not combine sustainability with safety, health, and well-being internal in the organization? So what do we measure today? If we are looking at the reactive lagging indicators, we have an application where we register the following cases: fertility, lost time cases, medical treatment, restricted work cases, first aid cases, environmental occurrence. So we have a lot of data that can help us identify where to focus our health and safety resources. If we look at the proactive leading indicators, we today register and measure the following proactive leading indicators: safety walks, safety kaizen, near misses, and hazards observation. Furthermore, we are doing health and safety training, risk assessment, working with 5S and lean principles, learning from near misses and hazard observation. What we do? We are planning to launch Vision Zero and the 14 proactive leading indicators in 3 phases, internal in KK Wind Solution, focusing on the critical line to begin with. First phase 1 and 2 in 2021, and then phase 3 in 22. After the implementation phase, we want to conduct a proactive assessment on the critical lines so we can see where to improve. Where are we now? We have launched phase 1 in KK Wind Solution, focusing on the critical lines, where we focus on golden rule number 1, take leadership, demonstrate commitment, which cover the proactive leading indicators, visible leadership commitment, and competent leadership. In phase 1, we also work with golden rule number 4, ensure a safe and healthy system, be well organized, which cover proactive leading indicator, pre-work briefing, and planning and organization of work. What next? In phase 2, we will focus on workplace and job induction, evaluating target programs, initial training and refresher training, which cover golden rule number 3, define targets, develop programs, and golden rule number 6, improve qualification, develop competences. The rest of the 7 golden rules and the 14 proactive leading indicators will be implemented in phase 3, where we'll focus on golden rule number 2, identify hazards, control risk, and golden rule number 5, ensure safety and health in machines, equipments, and workplaces. And golden rule number 7, invest in people, motivate by participation. And then a very important task is to make the Vision Zero philosophy visible in the whole organization. We have to make some noise so that the organization know that safety, health, well-being, and sustainability are important topics for a successful business. Thank you very much for listening to our story about our Vision Zero journey, which have just started and will last for the next many years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Morton. A fantastic presentation. And something I like most about your company is that you've been working specifically about implementing Vision Zero in stages. And I think that this is a very well-timed approach and something that has great advance for the future. So for you, I'm really interested about your insights about what you think will happen and where Vision Zero will go in the future.
Yeah, I think the Vision Zero concept is a really strong tool that will get more and more attention worldwide the next couple of years. And if the Vision Zero concept in the future manage to integrate more of the topics that's on the sustainability agenda, the concept will be even stronger and have a bright future. So a little bit like the other speakers have been talking about, sustainability is going to be a big topic from now on and going forward. And somehow we have to integrate that into the Vision Zero philosophy. And then I think there'll be more and more companies working with it.
Yeah, look, I actually entirely agree, Morten, and it's something actually that you mentioned in your presentation. I mean, your company is off the back, the backbone of your company is a sustainable approach, wind farms, and it's not unusual for your company to be a leader in sustainability. And sustainability is everyone's future now, which is fantastic. And I think if we can ensure that safety fits solidly in that S and the G for safety governance, and S about the impact of our work, what it does to society, including our workforce, then I think we're all in good stead. And I think, those metrics, if we can make sure that the sustainability metrics do include safety firmly, there's a really good opportunity for us and society worldwide. So thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experience. So
thank you.
Now, thank you so much. So now it's my great honor to welcome Mr. Hans-Horst Konkolowski, who has been honoring all of us with his agenda, with so many amazing speakers. And I have to say, yesterday's opening speech really did set the scene, where ESA and ILO are here, and we have our feet firm on the ground for the Great Reset. So over to you, Mr. Hans-Horst, and I think you're going to talk to us about the 5C culture measurement tools. So let's hear it from you.
Thank you very much indeed, Gillian. I also have to make this work. Should be working now. Okay, well, I think I continue there where Morten just stopped, because what I would like to talk about is new approaches, more integrated approaches toward measuring where a company's prevention culture is. And as everything during this event, it will be based on the Vision Zero mindset. So when we talk about this interest in a healthy and a sustainable business culture, what's the background for that? It has been touched upon already by the speakers, that safety and health nowadays, if you look at the fatality figures, are like this iceberg, where we have the accidents, which represent about 15% of the 2.8 million fatalities every year caused worldwide because of poor working conditions. And we have this huge part of the iceberg beyond the surface of the water, which represents the health issues and which we really need to put much more into focus in our activities. We also have to reflect a changing workforce, an aging workforce, and more female participation in workforce also in the traditional male work areas. We have globalization with a lot of migration flows, often to vulnerable positions and work that have to be reflected. Also, there can be cultural language challenges. The nature of the challenges at work is changing dramatically, and I think the last 1.5 years have contributed to increasing exactly the mental health challenges we are exposed to, and so that we need to look much more into the mental health and well-being of people. And it's not just what happens at the workplace. We are people, we're not workers, we're not machines. We bring our private life, we bring our experiences from commuting and others to the workplace and vice versa. So we need to have a more integrated view on that as well, as a whole person view. And we need to understand that digitalization, as we heard yesterday, is influencing the future of work, teleworking, but also this co-working with robots, which really puts a lot of challenges to us. And finally, the pandemic has shown the limitations of our existing systems and the need to build a robust and resilient safety, health, protection systems. So the Great Reset fits perfectly into that, because the Great Reset asks for world leaders to consider how people and planet could come first in the new normal. And this translates fantastically into our world, in the world of prevention, because what we should respond is to how can we build more healthy and sustainable business culture. And there are many motivations for companies to show this increase in this growing sensitivity for health and sustainability in their operations. First and foremost, it's a commitment to the safety, health, and well-being of its people, which the Vision Zero mindset expresses. There's also what we have heard during yesterday and today, that good safety and health is actually good business, not a cost for companies. Also, the emerging digital economy needs to look into how do we actually kind of capitalize on the opportunities, and how do we reduce the risks for successful business implementation of digital solutions. The increased attention to social, economic, environmental impact of business. Now, there are the SDGs for 2030, which really also demand companies to play an important role. We have the investor market demands. We heard that from Alan today and others, which really pushes companies, if they want to achieve more financial means, they have to demonstrate their performance levels as regards ESG and other indicators. And we have now a much higher attention in society and in businesses and amongst everybody about the importance of prevention and well-being. So how do we actually achieve health and sustainable organizations? What I'm going to talk about is that we should embark on a journey starting with the Vision Zero concept, and then adding the SDGs of 2030. And this is what we call the 5-set business culture. So more detailed. So the concept has been developed by the International ORP Foundation and the Barcelona Tech, the Polytechnical University of Catalonia, and includes 5 strategic business development objectives. Now, one is to prevent work accidents and injuries. The second is to protect and promote physical and mental health. The third is to ensure the sustainable use of natural resources. The fourth is to promote diversity and fairness. And the final one is to support talents and personal development. As you already can hear, we take a very integrated approach into the company with people as its center. So when we look at the 5Z culture and Vision Zero, we share exactly the same mindset. So everything we do in 5Z is based on the Vision Zero mindset and of the Vision Zero's integration of safety, health, and well-being. We also have in our indicators, we have integrated, of course, the 7 golden rules and also the 14 leading indicators, because we believe that they have to be represented, they have to be the backbone of what we're doing. What we slightly do different in our concept is, and I will illustrate that later on, that we define that in order to achieve a development in prevention culture, there are two basic elements. One is that you have to have the necessary processes in place, which we know very well from our safety and management systems. But that is not enough. You need to add to that the people dimension, in particular the leadership dimension. So to make sure that, for example, existing processes also are implemented correctly and that they're supported and motivated. As I mentioned, the other angle for us is the SDGs for 2030, our global agenda that we all share. All member states of the United Nations have agreed on these objectives. So businesses need to contribute as well, and they can contribute. And what we have focused on is to represent all 17 development goals in our 5 different dimensions of the 5Z. How to implement the 5Z culture? Well, we have rather straightforward process. The companies that have an interest, they can sign up for a 5Z business license. They're introduced to the methodology, they have access to training, consultancy. And then the first and most important step is to carry out a diagnosis, a self-assessment based on the company's own data. And that this self-assessment then is the basis for a report that we prepare at the ORP based on the data received, and we offer then performance maps, analytics, and recommendations. I will also illustrate that in a moment. And very importantly, a prioritized improvement plan is prepared. For companies who would like to have a kind of an approval or have a certification of their level, there's an opportunity to ask for an audit if the company, through its self-assessment, reaches a certain number, a minimum level of points, and it can achieve both the basic seal and the excellence seal. So the survey I mentioned is the basis for the self-assessment, and for each of the 5 areas, we have groups of indicators. And as you can see here, for the accidents and incidents, you can see it's not just to look into the data, nor into the lagging indicators. They are, of course, important, but this is not what is critical for us. We look into all other aspects related to incidents, such as risk assessment, accident investigation, risk control, occupational hygiene. So we also look into other aspects of influence on a person's safety, ergonomics, road safety, training and information, leadership, participation process, and of course also indicators. So as you can see, what we focus on are really the leading indicators as well. And for diseases, also just to illustrate that, traditionally we look into the last part, the last element here, which are occupational diseases, and the kind of documentation we have for that, the statistics. And for us, zero diseases includes many more things. It's health surveillance, psychosocial health. We look into absenteeism, presenteeism, health promotion, and so on. And again, you will find leadership and participation as key elements as well. For the environmental aspect, we talk about environmental policies, solid waste, energy, water, emissions, all the traditional aspects covered by environmental management and process management. For the topic of inequality, we look into issues such as violence, organization policy as regards equality, justice elements in the organization, equity, and inclusion. And for zero awareness, meaning how we really give everybody equal access to develop one's talents in an organization. So training is, of course, critical, but also transparency, the organization, communication, and digitalization systems, so nobody's left behind in that process either. So all of this then results in a report, and I show you this illustration of a company from Russia with 3 of its sites. So you can see at a glance, you have a comparative performance map showing where the strength and the improvement areas of these companies are. And very interesting, they all work in the same sector, but you can see the different performance levels. So also within a company that has several sites, it's interesting to be able to do some benchmarking internally, but also, and very importantly, to learn from each other. So this is a very, let's say, easy glance, and especially for top management that likes not to have things presented in a dashboard format and very clear. I think this is very illustrative to say, where do we need to invest more in our prevention culture to ensure health and sustainability? So, but as I said, there's a whole report that is prepared with the overall results for each of the topics and question. We have detailed analytics as regards the different indicator groups. We also look into the aspects of leadership and processes to identify, is a result or a less good result? What is it caused by? Is it a lack of processes, or is it a lack of leadership and personal commitment? And then, of course, at the end of the day, there's a summary about improvement opportunities, where the strong sides and where are some weaknesses that can be addressed in the improvement plan. And then a company can ask for this audit. And our next speaker, Carlo, will tell more about his experience and his company's experience with it. But I'm very happy to be able to show this already now to you as an illustration of what a company can achieve also through this process, which means recognition. So the benefits of a 5Z business culture are first and foremost a management tool, because it provides an integral vision of a company's performance in these 5 critical areas, including both occupational safety and health, environment, and maybe some areas that traditionally are within the human resource development area, but at the end are interconnected, as we also have discussed over the past 2 days. And this is a basis, an objective basis to take decisions about priorities for action and investment in a healthy and sustainable business culture. The second is, very importantly, the corporate branding and market position, reputation as an attractive employer, but also as an attractive investment object, as we heard before, stronger corporate branding and the recognition through the seal. But what is most important to us is the value of people, because we talk about people when we talk about safety, health, and well-being. So what's important to us is to secure that a company can retain its talent, acknowledge excellence, and promote the health and well-being of its people. So with this, I thank you very much for your attention.
Many thanks, Mr. Hanshorst, for a fantastic presentation. And the 5Z process is very comprehensive. It's looking at a wide number of measurements, particularly around psychosocial, which is a really important element in today's society, but one that you've been measuring for a very long time through 5Z. It was, I believe, ahead of its time when first created. And interestingly, I think the metrics are so powerful, the way it has a full risk view, particularly on the safety approach. Our question, or my question, of course, is when is 5Z going international? We really need to get this across the shores. What's the story?
Well, I have good news, because, as you say, this is not something we developed last week. This has been developed over the past years and has been tested and tried, in particular in Spanish-speaking countries, both in Spain and in Latin America. So we have a solid base also of data and experience with the concept. And now we are preparing for launching it also in other parts of the world. And we're looking forward now to launch it in the Russian Federation, because we got a specific request for that through our Global Vision Zero Business Council. So we have been working with one of our members there. But we are preparing for a launch also in other regions, and we will work through partners at the national level. So we welcome interest of partners who know the markets and are willing to and interested in collaborating with us in bringing this. I think it's just another way of measuring performance, but we believe that it has some virtues that are interesting for companies that take this more integrated view on our issue. So we are ready, and we are going to expand our activities in the coming months.
Fantastic. And I think one thing that you didn't mention, but you and I have discussed before, Mr. Hanshorst, is the availability of data in the back end. So the way that the data is collected has huge opportunity from a big data perspective. So I think there's more to see on 5Z. It's coming to a place near you. I think we have to see. So thank you so much, Mr. Hunthorst. And I will now throw the stage to Mr. Carlo Alberto Berto from Pescacano. I'm very happy to welcome you to the floor. Thank you so much. And I will be here while you have your slide shared.
Yeah,
Welcome.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Perfecto.
And now, okay. Okay, good morning from Spain. Good morning.
Un momento, if you switch it.
Hay dos pantallas. Ponen solo una pantalla, por favor.
A ver, espere.
Arriba en configuración. Configuración de visualización, arriba de todo.
Desactivar más.
Arriba. Donde pone mostrar barra de tareas, al lado configuración.
Vale.
Aquí. Vale, dale
Sí.
la flecha. Aquí, vale, duplicar presentación, pon.
Vale.
Ahí.
Listo, la tecnología, perdona.
Bueno.
Perfecto.
Okay, good morning from Spain, and I'm Carlo. I'm a corporative director of the health and safety and security of Pescanova Group. In Pescanova Group is a Spanish multinational company engaged in fishing, farming, processing, and trading of seafood product. It's a very complicated company because we sell in 80 countries in 5 continents. It's one of the top shrimp producers in the world. We have more than 15,000 employees in 4 continents. But let's continue with the presentation that they tell me we have 10 minutes, I think. First of all, thank you for the invitation. I apologize if the presentation in English is not the same as given in my official language, which is Spain or Italian, but obviously it is in English. When we talk about business value, what do we mean? We are talking about sustainability, wellness, health, good work climate. I think that everything, and we must differentiate the sustainability with the others. I consider that sustainability is the union of all aspects mentioned above the adding quality, the environment, and more. I firmly believe that company is not sustainability if within its machinery well-being in all its aspects and respect for the environment are not considered as fundamental action without forgetting quality and safety, obviously. In the first slide, I say the world is not changing rapidly. It is reshaping itself rapidly. It is beginning to function differently in many areas at once. And the reshaping is occurring faster than we, our leaders, our institutions, societies, and our ethical choice have been able to reshape. We have become accustomed to the word change. When we realize that we are doing something wrong, we always say just we must change. I do not agree. I think that we have to transform ourselves, develop through knowledge, because a change entails an intention of having done it wrong. Transforming is evolving. The phrase says this: let us accept that we need to evolve as quickly as possible by listening to all who can contribute. As a case, for example, in this Congress, where we share experience and knowledge. In the next slide, I want to talk with the prevention of occupational hazard. And an example, I want to demonstrate the progress in these 3 key points. Where do we start? Where have we arrived? And where do we want to go? Where do we start? We started from basic action more than 20 or 30 years ago. We considered that our obligation was to prevent accident without worrying about other essential matters. We developed very ineffective manuals, and with experience we have learned to be selective and much more effective. Where have we arrived? We have become aware that without health, there is no progress or continuity. Without well-being, there's no evolution. Without respect for people, there can be no sustainability. Where do we want to go? I want to get, or rather, I would like to get all the staff of the company to be one more occupational health technician. That the figure of technician is a listener, consultant, and highly respected visually for the viability of the business. There we have to get there, which is understood by prevention of work risk in this phase in economic and social development. Wellness is the same of business sustainability. It's the same of people first, and people first is not a cliche. When I first say people, I want to talk about the conglomerate of necessary action that make the business continuity exist, which is to say continuity of people and well-being. The true success is to achieve viability with the general satisfaction of all the members, a concept of well-being that accompanies happiness, and that is transformed into a productive improvement that is sometimes necessary. And the next slide, or the people first, I talk, Alan Turing talk, sometimes the person that nobody imagines capable of anything is the person who does things not that nobody imagine. The time has taught us that prevention is not protecting. Prevention is improving, listening, learning, observing, and implementing comprehensive measures aimed at improving the quality of work, not just reducing accidents or illnesses. Listen, observe, learn, propose, implement, and reevaluate. This is as prevention. And the last one, excuse me, I want to talk with Vision Zero and the 5-0 certification FIORP. It's a zero accident, inequality, disinformation, diseases, waste is very important for us. And we have 3 questions: why, when, what's the benefits? Excuse me. Why? From the perspective of strategic plans, ambition, realistic, measurable, and quantifiable plans are needed. It is evident that the system measures our result and proposed point for improvement. 2, the model meets all the conceptual needs to achieve success. If someone at the time we meet believes that some of the points reflecting the model are not necessary, I think they reorganize their ideas. And 3, methodology that helps the order and prioritize. Something we do so many things that we forget to order. The methodology has helped us to maintain control and improve the management of action. And the second question is when. All certification must have a meaning that is not only the media impact. The first one, when the organization has understood the basic point and assumed as a challenger, analyze the weak points and develop them. Number 2, when the initial and implemented protocol have been developed. And 3, that when we believe that our system meets all the requirements, we should not be scared by a non-conformity. This is it's a help to us to improve. And the benefits are unquestionable. To have a system reviewed by external professional. Indubitably, it is a reinforcement of the work carried out of the indicated the good path taken. Number 2, have an order for development, maintenance and improvement already commented. Number 3, have a recognition for the benefit of all and everything, marketing and commercial. The balance is very important for me. Why not take advantage of a good job done and make it public? And for final, the model 5-0. A 5-0 model helps to order our action. It is not only important, it is necessary for me. It forces us to follow a proven model that would otherwise be in doubt. It is the beginning and not the end of the project. There will be many more aspects to which we must align ourselves, assuming the concept and transformation and not change. And thank you very much, and for my English, but I'm not. Well, it's. I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
My dear Carlo, you should not be apologizing, because the poetry you have read us in your presentation is sensational. You have an amazing way with words. And I think that everyone will agree with me that we have a poet and a safety expert in the room. and thank you very much. I actually really enjoy to hear from you to say that the world is not changing rapidly, it's reshaping itself rapidly, and it's beginning to function differently in many areas at once. And this is reshaping is occurring faster than we, our leaders, our institutions, our societies, and our ethical choices have been able to reshape. We are absolutely evolving at a speed of light right now. It's a very interesting time, isn't it?
Thank you.
A fantastic presentation. My question to you is, from your experience with the 5Z certification, how has it helped you in your organization?
We are a company that has marked a path. We have developed in this principle that reflects in 5.0, but aware there are many more sections to follow and discover, I think. We have met a goal, but we have a long way to go to reach the objective, and thus reevaluate ourselves and continue growing. For ours, 5.0 is very important, and helped me and order all the documents that we have developed in all the year.
And tell me, did your board like the report? Because it's a very nifty reporting tool from what I can see.
Can you repeat, please?
Did your board or your management team, did they like the report? It has a great design.
I don't, Hans, please translate for me. O not.
Sí, ¿cómo ha sido la reacción del consejo, ¿no? Del liderazgo?
Fantastic. Fantastic. It's helped me in my area is in direction committee and of the group, and obviously my CEO is the directions are fantastic, and we continue with other to follow other system, and it's fantastic, Gillian. Fantastic.
Great news. Thank you so much, Mr. Carlo, for joining us today. You have a wonderful presentation. Now we have our last presenter for today, Mr. Lars from Human House, another fine presenter. And today he is going to talk to us about a global view on OSH metrics from accident statistics to social media. And I think some of my social media interlude may have given you a good platform for today. The floor is now yours, Mr. Lars. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gillian. I hope you can hear me.
I can.
Super. And you can see me as well?
I can.
Super. Then let me try to share my screen. Can you see a presentation?
I can first see you, and we wait.
Should be right here. Is it better now?
It's coming up now, just one moment. Yes, and if you could go to presentation mode.
Is it good now?
Yeah, if you could go to presentation mode, then you are ready to go.
I just tried on my screen, it's presentation mode.
Okay. It looks good as it is. Let's go. It looks fantastic.
Okay, super. Thank you. Thank you very much, Gillian. My name is Lars Tornvig. I work as a director at Human House. And Human House is one of the leading major authorized health and safety consultancies here in Denmark. We are authorized by the Danish Work and Environment authorities in all aspects of safety, health, and well-being. We have also joined the Vision Zero movement. I like this new term, and have worked with the Vision Zero mindset in several Danish companies. We are also very proud and honored to have the great pleasure of hosting the Danish Vision Zero Council, and it's a great honor for the council to be co-organizing this very interesting and very relevant conference. I will, in my short presentation, try to give you some inspiration on how we in Human House work with companies in helping them setting meaningful for our working environment efforts. And I also think that these goals should be aimed at continuous improvements. So some of this, I will say today, is a bit of a repetition from some of the excellent former presentations. But when I look at how companies are setting goals on their OSH factors and working environment today, I think that they have a great tendency to look in the rear window using lagging indicators in setting goals for their work with safety, health, and well-being. I think these targets are typically quantitatives. They are based on historical data like accident statistics, sick leave due to OSH factors, data on abusive behavior, and so on. They very seldom describes on how we can achieve an improvement. And I think that's one of the flaws about these only using lagging indicators. I also think there's a risk when we only focus on lagging indicators in our goals for the working environment, that we have a risk of staying in a reactive mindset because we are looking in the rear view mirror historical data. I think many presentations during these excellent days have talked about proactive leading indicators, and I think we should welcome the new guide from Vision Zero and ESA on proactive leading indicators. I think, as you have heard Morten and you have heard Helmut today, these leading indicators gives us useful examples on how to think leading indicators in relation to the 7 golden rules. And I think we should in the future spend more time on setting proactive leading indicators on our OSH work.
Sorry, Lars.
Yes.
Sorry, we still are in your first image.
Okay, sorry.
So try to re-click on the presentation icon on the bottom. Try to do it again. Maybe it works this time.
Okay.
To go to the little icon with the screen on the bottom of the page, on the right-hand side. Just a bit more to the right, where the little screen is.
I am not.
It's just below FIOP.
Just below FIOP.
FIOP, yeah, just below. Under the image, you go down to the bottom of the page.
Oh, sorry. I stop sharing this then. I go to FIOP. Is it better now?
Yeah, you just have to click on the icon on the bottom, no, the presentation icon, which is on the low.
I don't have a presentation button on.
It's on the bottom of the page. There are icons, and the one on the right-hand side, which shows a little screen there. Yes, exactly where you had it before. Oh, yeah, there. Yeah, try to click on this. Yeah,
is it better? Can you see it now?
Unfortunately, not for us. So you have to do it manually for each of the pages, no? Because now we are on the page where we see the proactive leading indicators publication of ESA.
And if I turn to the next page, can you see that? Can you see a change in pages?
We have the page with the Vision Zero publication, the leading indicator publication of ESA.
Gillian, I sent you the slideshow. This is not working as I planned, I must say.
I saw you have a special cursor. Just press once escape. Then the cursor should be changed in the normal mode. Press one time escape, then you should start the presentation mode. Sometimes you have to press the little screen twice.
Aha, yes.
Thank you, Sven. Help from Germany.
Well, yeah, so yeah. It's strange.
Thank you very much. So let me just raise the page. I think, as I said, proactive leading indicators is the way for the future to look at OSH goals, and I'm very happy then. I'm very happy that I think we in Denmark are showing the way in using both lagging and proactive leading indicators on a national level. In newly agreed goals for the working environment in Denmark for the next period of 10 years, we have agreed on 10 national goals for the working environment. The 4 goals are strong in accidents, strong safety culture at the workplace, fewer people are involved in accidents at work. It's factors regarding chemicals, safe and healthy work with chemicals, fewer people are exposed to hazardous chemicals at work. It's economic factors, safe and healthy economic work environment, fewer people are exposed to physical strain, and not the least, the psychosocial factors, safe and healthy mental working environment, fewer people are exposed to significant mental strain. I think this is very interesting also from a Vision Zero point of view. As you can see, the 4 goals are in the areas covering both safety, health, and well-being. What is even more interesting, I think, is there are these lagging and leading indicators that would, during the next 10 years, follow these goals. Are we progressing as we hope to? And some of the indicators are leading and some of them are lacking. Here are examples from the targets for accidents. There will be targets, leading indicators. Some will be followed by 2 national surveys, the working environment activities in Danish workplaces and the employee survey, working environment and health. And these are the leading indicators. And I think what's very interesting about these, that many of them, there are evidence that they work. If we do stuff like that at our companies, then we will see a reduction in accidents. Some of you will also recognize that some of these leading indicators are also in the Vision Zero proactive leading indicators. So I think this will be very interesting to follow, and the great challenge will be to translate these national goals into company goals, meaningful company goals. Also for the different industries, there are lagging indicators. They are reduction targets. You can see an example here for the construction industry. This should be over the next 10 years, 20% reduction in the occurrence of reported occupational accidents with 1 day or more absence. I think this would be very interesting to follow and a very good example of using lagging and leading indicators. I also think that when we talk about goals in the work environment, we should start by asking why. Why should we focus on safety, health, and well-being and try to integrate goals in OSH into the business strategy? Of course, as you have heard, and Source mentioned it, the report from ISA on the return of prevention shows that it pays off to work with raising your prevention level at your company. There's a return of prevention on 2.2, and inspired by the report, we in Human House have made this circle of benefits. And if we need to move goals, OSH goals, into the business strategy, we need to involve the top management. And golden rule number 1, take leadership. We have heard several presentations during the days that top management engagement is crucial. And we use these circle of benefits in top management's workshops. And when we ask the top managers, why should we focus on safety, health, and well-being? Many of them right now are telling us we need to be our image. We need to attract and retain our employees. And many of the companies are not aware in regard to attracting and retaining people that on social media, your employees can review your company. These are 2 examples from Glassdoor, American job site, and Job Index. And as you can see, there are also OSH factors where you have reviews. It's typically work-life balance that are scored. And for sure the managers watching this in their company, they can see they have a problem probably have a problem in attracting and retaining employees with a score of 3.5. In the same area, you can compare company. I think this is important when you are looking for a new job. You will look at these job sites and you can compare companies. How are the employees rating their own company? This example, as I have taken here, are two major pharmaceutical companies. And as you can see, there's quite a difference between the two scores. The overall scoring, the work-life balance, and the percentage that would recommend the company to a friend. I think these are eye-openers for many of the managers in regard to working more seriously with the health and safety in regard to their employees. This is another example, probably from some of the social media that you use, Gillian. I think this is from Facebook. This is an example where an employee are highly criticizing he or she's company in regard to a sexual harassment case, really criticizing the company in their handling of the sexual harassment. I think you showed us some examples, Gillian, on this prior, on how this can affect the company image. So these are eye-openers for our companies. What my last area, not my last presentation, but last area, I would say that working with top management workshop, we have had in Human House great use of this Vision Zero self-evaluation tools. It's also our experience that you need these self-evaluation tools on the 3 dimensions of the Vision Zero. You need to have them on well-being, safety, and health. They score very differently on these 3 areas in the top management. Typically, they are more sure in regards to safety than well-being. And in regard to attracting and retaining employees, I think the area of well-being, we have heard it from several presentations, I think on these days, that the area of well-being is very important. We need to focus more on the area of well-being. And I think our point of view, our experience is that the managers are more insecure on how to handling the well-being of their employees. This is an example of a score sheet, the results of a self-evaluation on well-being in regard to being a role model for a top management group. Red and yellow demonstrates need for improvement, and as you can see, there are certainly need for improvement. And these are eye-openers for top managers, that if you need to be better as a manager to handle the well-being of our employees, we need to work with this area. I think this also gives possibilities, this self-evaluation, for improvement goals, proactive leading indicators, where you describe the efforts that you need to do to be better as a role model as a manager. And you can use the self-evaluation tools in regard to, are we moving ahead the right direction? My final slide is back to the leading indicators, which I think is very important for our future work with goals in the OSH area. And also, as mentioned from many presentations, we need to focus more on well-being. We have also heard many presentations talking about managers' importance in raising our prevention. So this is an example on the proactive leading indicator number 1. Does managers demonstrate visible commitment, but in this area of the mental work environment? This could be measured like a proactive leading indicators in, for example, employee evaluations of the manager as a role model, frequency of mental work environment as part of department meetings, or frequency of mental work environment as part of one-on-one dialogues between the manager and the employee. This was speedy. I'm sorry for the inconvenience about my slides. Back to you, Gillian.
Many thanks, Lars. And we are, of course, never alone in our technology users in our online world. I had a very interesting one last week where my slide was sharing my slide, and it looks like a magical kaleidoscope. So don't worry, you are never alone in this world of technology. So thank you so much, Mr. Lars. I think the power of metrics obviously talks to the leaders. You mentioned in your conversations with the leaders in leadership management, you pulled out all the key indicators from the return on prevention. You also mentioned the social media pain, which is honestly a whole nother level. And when you put that alongside our Great Resignation elements, which often are about safety and things like sexual harassment and other kind of workplace elements or incidents, you know, the power of social media and metrics is very strong. So thank you so much. I would first just like to ask you about why we should have proactive goals in the working environment. A very short answer because we are.
I'll try I'll try to give you a short answer. I think our primary goal is to raise the prevention level, and raising the prevention level, I think we should see it as a journey towards a higher level of prevention. And we need to have all aboard, from the top manager to the student employees, and for them to know which way, they also should know which way are we going. So like Helmut said about the Swiss cheese, they need to know about the cheese slices in regard to avoid the holes. So everybody needs to be aware. I think Morten also mentioned the visualization of what we are doing. It's very important. Carlo also mentioned making a new path. I think the mindset of a journey. And we need proactive leading indicators to showing us the way we all should go. So everybody should be aware of which way should we go, what are we expected to do, instead of measuring the lagging indicators. So,
fantastic. Yeah. Thank you so very much. And so this wraps our session, and I invite Mr. Hans Horst and the other roundtable panelists to the floor who are left standing. I think we lost one, Mr. Hans Horst.
Thank you very much. First of all, great thanks to you for your excellent moderation and introduction. Very exciting introduction as well. I think the metrics are really critical because we need to measure, establish goals and see where we are. But we need to look at them in a new way. And I think you have demonstrated that very nicely. And for a good reason. No? For business leaders, it's absolutely critical. Not only to measure, in order to understand where they are with their bottom line, to understand what the human part of this is and how they can improve there. So thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, I now invite the moderators. There's Jillian, there should be Bernd and also Pernille there, because unfortunately Martina is not able to join us because of an acute health issue. So we wish her all the best now for her recovery. And so in order to stay more or less within the scheduled time, I will now rush to the closing session of this event. And the idea of the closing session is now to summarize what we have learned from the 21 excellent presentations yesterday afternoon, this morning, related to the 4 challenges for a more healthy and sustainable world of work. In my opening, as you might recall, I expressed the optimistic view that the OSH community is ready to contribute to the Great Reset for a world where people and planet come first. I stressed, however, that this requires also, you could say, a successful reset of our own prevention strategies, concepts and tools, in particular as regards the mindsets, digitalization, incentives and metrics. So now I'm very excited to learn from our distinguished moderators if, in your view, we are ready for the Great Reset as regards your challenges. No? And I will start with you, Jillian, now because you are still in the picture. So please, following your session, do you think we're ready for it?
Look, I think we're absolutely ready to step into the next generation of metrics. and including safety through all aspects of the marketplace, from investors through to customers. I think it's been too long, and I think we're finally here. I think, you know, out of all the horrific things that COVID has put on the table, there has been a huge advantage. That is, safety professionals have been asked to every boardroom table around the world to help manage the crisis that is before us. So our next steps is to remain in those rooms, having good conversations about our metrics and what we can provide to service our organizations globally.
Well, thank you very much, Gillian. And now I'd like to give the floor to Pernille to talk about digitalization. And welcome today also.
Thank you. Yeah, our session was about how we can use digitalization in the service of prevention. And I think the most important point is that we need to focus on, of course, maximizing the exciting opportunities of new technologies, but we also need to do thorough risk assessments of the challenges on both safety, health, and well-being. And as the speakers so excellently illustrated, many of the points or the tools of the Vision Zero 7 golden rules, I think can be applied in all sort of businesses, large, small businesses, in order to maximize the prevention potential of the digitalization, so that we need to remind our managers that when we implement new technologies, we should consider the both positive and negative consequences. We need to do the risk assessments also on well-being. We should use the leading indicators to set targets, as Lars was also talking about, but also in the field of digitalization. We need to consider the ethical impact of digitalization to optimize the prevention through design. And then we need the involvement also of the worker, of the middle management, and involvement requires education and training in seeing the opportunities of the digitalization, but also in preventing the risks connected to this field.
Thank you very much, Pernille, for this excellent summary. And also, I understand you have a positive message as well, no? That you believe that it's possible to use digitalization in the service of prevention.
Yes, that's
as a conclusion, so to say. No?
I'm convinced about this, and we just need the managers to see the connection also.
Yeah, this is our ongoing challenge. No? So, but thank you very much indeed, Pernille, for this excellent summary. And now, Bernd, what do you think as regards incentives?
Incentives and the Great Reset. Well,
yes.
What the session has revealed is that we all work in our existing structures. So a Great Reset means, okay, are we rethinking everything? Are we dismantling and building everything new from scratch? If this is the case, then we will have great difficulties to do that, because our speakers have said that, you know, you need to build on the already existing organizational structures. You need to work with the ministries, labor inspectors, with the safety and health profession, and already build on what we have done. Yes, there are 2.78 million fatalities, work-related fatalities every year. So we're not doing enough. But none of the speakers have actually said, well, we want it to be totally demolished because now we have the greatest idea of all and we're going to change society totally. It was more about looking into new forms of safety and health promotion and new tools that in the past, let's say 30 years, were not there. You know, we have talked about management systems and about normal risk assessment procedures. Now we're talking about transporting emotions. We're talking about influencing behavior. We're talking about supply chains, social reporting, corporate social responsibility, ethical aspects of safety and health. So, we're moving more into a world of, let's say, soft factors, and not to be forgotten also everything related to the financing, sustainable financing, loans, financing that is then linked to the shareholder value, actually. So these things they have been around, but they're just emerging. And so the Great Reset is actually, for the group that we had, I would say the Great Reset is not a reset, but it's a great innovation.
Thank you very much, Bernd. I think this is also what the other speakers and moderators have expressed now, that we have an excellent basis in occupational safety and health, but we need to overcome, as always, some challenges in order to take it to the next level. No? And this is the same for, I think, Martina's session, where we talked about the mindset. And I think it was clear also from the presentations that mindsets are definitively changing in companies, in societies. And I think the pandemic has contributed very much to that understanding of the value of prevention in our societies. But there are multiple factors now that influence and have been influencing companies. So the traditional way of thinking now that safety and health is something that is imposed externally through legislation and is a cost now that is not related to our production. I think this is dramatically changing right now because of these many internal and external factors that influence the mindset, the thinking in companies. What was very clear is and this has been, I think, a red thread throughout all presentations, management, especially top management, is very critical in establishing a new prevention mindset in the companies, and then the importance of triggering it out, cascading it to all levels of management and to all employees has been highlighted also now, and the importance of continuous training, qualifications, all the measures that are outlined basically in the 7 golden rules of the Vision Zero mindset has been also documented through this. So I believe also that Martina would agree with me that there's a yes to that. Yes, we can overcome this, but there is not a one size fit all. Every company has its own setting. Every country has its own cultures. So it's about for the OSH managers and OSH community to identify exactly what counts in their specific context. Maybe it's a bottom line. It's a question of that safety and health pays off, or it's more the human side where you have to highlight, let's say, problems as regards maintaining staff or recruiting new talents and so on. So we have to open and widen our view on what occupational safety and health is and what we as OSH professionals have to do. But it's an exciting journey. It's opening new frontiers, and it offers new team building and collaboration across the organization with a department that might be just beside us, but with whom we never talk. So it can be about sustainability, it can be about human resources, and very importantly, it's about the board, and talk to the director. So that I think is a very interesting outcome. And with this, I would like now, because we have reached already 13:02, I see here, so we're beyond our schedule. I want to thank you, the chairs, once again, for your fantastic moderation, also for your very, very concise summaries of the discussions, for the positive messages that you're also sending, because this is the idea with it. When we talk about the reset, what really triggered me was this idea of a world where we focus more on people and planet. I think this is something that brings us all together, and we have something important to contribute. And thank you for transmitting that energy and that knowledge through this event. I also would like to thank our speakers who really have brought all this evidence to the table. Their commitment and their emotions in this have been very important. I would like to thank all the audience in Düsseldorf and online, and all the future audience, because this will be on YouTube, so everybody can also now revisit it. And if you have missed an important presentation, interesting part of it, you can see it on YouTube. And then I would like to thank very much the co-organizers, first and foremost, the global and the Danish Vision Zero councils, They have been really heavy involved in this and done a lot of the presentation. So I'm very proud of you, and I'm very grateful to all of you for your continued support of our series of Vision Zero and Great Reset regional discussions. We will continue this in Africa and also for Asia and the Pacific, and try to give it more of course, the regional angle. I would also like to thank the co-organizers, which is the BASI and the Messe Düsseldorf, for their support. And I would finally like to thank the ESA and especially the Vision Zero Committee and the ESA Special Commission on Prevention for this nice co-organization of the two events, one really hybrid, the other more online. But I think we have been very supplementary in our agendas and reinforcing our common views on the importance of safety, health, and well-being for our populations. Finally, I would like to share, if it's possible, if the technology works, as we have experienced a couple of times, because I have a final slide I would like to share with you. It says it doesn't. Can you see my shared screen now?
No, not really.
Yes.
It doesn't. Because what I wanted to tell you was the next really big event as regards Vision Zero will take place from 11 to 13 of May, because there we will celebrate the Vision Zero Summit, Japan 2022, because Japan will be hosting. It will be a digital event, an online event, hopefully also with some opportunities for present, because who doesn't want to go to Tokyo, beautiful Japan. But as you know, also there, the COVID is still causing a lot of troubles. So this is why it will be online. So please take note of it, 11 to 13 of May, Japan 2022 Vision Zero Summit. There is a website up where you can learn more about it. It's called japan.visionzerosummit.com. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of you again. I also would like to thank my colleagues at ORP, and especially Natalia, who has managed the technological and logistical side behind it and been in contact with many of us. So let's end by giving her a round of applause and a great thanks from all of us. Thank you. Thank you.